Hi, welcome to part three. We're going to continue talking about the individual cases presented in this case study, picking up with number four, Carl. Carl attends vocational classes for construction and drafting, which to me suggests he's interested in construction, possibly architecture, um, building stuff. Absences are just kind of at random, which lines up with the other information we know. The truant officer reports that parents do not support strong attendance. They consider it none of the school's business. Basically, if he doesn't feel good, he just stays home. Now, you could say that that's a medical illness, but who knows if there's a legit problem going on. The father did not graduate high school, which I think is having a big effect on his view of the importance of showing up. It is unknown if siblings have attendance issues. Apparently, I have already requested information on that. Parents are involved and are the biggest hurdle, I think, in making a change in Carl's attendance. Legally, parents do have some say in Carl's education. However, excessive attendance is not really one of them. Ethically, Carl may have a career lined up for him regardless of his school performance. And that is all well and good. As I said at the very beginning, higher education is not something that everyone wants or necessarily needs to complete. There are many different paths to success. My own path to a teacher has been very non-standard. However, this career path may not work out, and without a high school diploma, his options will be severely limited. Um, the argument could be made that it is not wise to put all of the proverbial eggs into the construction basket. Ethically, I'm going to be fighting an uphill battle against his father's attitude about school. That is just a fact. Carl's interests lie in construction and possibly architecture, and his family has a job lined up for him. Thus, little importance is placed on attending or even completing high school. Now, maybe the completion is a little bit of a stretch on my part, and that is something that I might want to find out. Do you think it's important that he completes high school? If they think that's important, maybe. The father didn't graduate high school, however, so I do think there is a reason to believe that if he drops out and doesn't complete, they're not going to really care too much. Dad's found success without it. My son can do the same. It is clear where Carl's interests lie, and it may be true that formal education is less important to his career path than others. There was a kid I graduated with who wanted to be a welder. And in his senior presentation that we all had to do, he straight up said, a lot of what I learned in high school is not going to be particularly relevant to me as a welder. And, he still graduated, still completed, um, those requirements. But as I said at the beginning, this isn't all equally important to all careers and to all futures. But betting Carl's success in construction is risky without preparing for alternate career paths. Now, especially if he wants to become an architect. Um, I'm not all that familiar with that program, but it seems to me that a college education will be important in pursuing that career if that's what he wants to do. Um, so yeah, there is that to consider. All right, and our final case is the case of John. Now, this was the one for me that turned out to be a lot more interesting, complex than was my knee-jerk reaction. I'll try to explain why as I go through this. John, our buddy John, is a quarterback and he was injured. Now, when I got into the sports, my mind, and this is a bias on my part that I tried to overcome a little bit as I was working through this, was, oh, it's a sports star quarterback. He's getting special treatment. He is basically like he's above the rules because he's a quarterback. Um, but as I thought about his case in particular, my view became a lot more nuanced, and that's what I'm going to try to present here. He can only play if he misses afternoon classes twice a week for physical therapy. Um, Now that is a medical issue, which could fall under the things that should be excused. Um, the alternative is that he doesn't play, which I don't think is a good alternative for reasons that I'll explain here in a minute. The athletic director has also asked for Friday afternoons off so John can rest. Um, that to me seems to be pushing it a little bit. Now, I don't think, having reflected, I don't think necessarily that the athletic director is just trying to get special treatment for John because he's the quarterback and the sports kids get special treatment. I think that there's something else going on that is actually pretty cool. Teachers did not report absences as excessive. Um, why not? Is sort of my question. That sort of crossed the line into special treatment for the sports kids, but again, I think there are other reasons that are not just being biased. You got the physical therapist, the athletic director, and the teachers. Legal and ethical issues. Ethically, sports are important to John. This is the big one. They're important to John and maybe a major motivator for him to stay in school. Taking that away from him could cause more harm than good. Now, is John planning for this to be a career? Maybe. Should he prepare for alternatives? Absolutely. A single injury can end your career with no notice. Um, but I think this goes more than that. For John, this could be the thing that motivates him to get up in the morning or to do well in school so that he can maintain his position on the team. Being the quarterback, I never played sports. I never played football, never played sports in school. But my understanding is the quarterback is seen as sort of the leader of the team. Um, so, there's a lot of good coming out of this, and in that light, I completely understand why we're taking this physical therapy and getting him extra time off to rest, to heal and to mend his body, so that he can keep doing this thing that he really likes. Um, I don't think it'd be wise to take that away from him. Ethically, sports injuries can end a person's career. Injuries have already affected John's ability to play football and are at the center of his attendance issues. Now, I don't know that he plans for sports to be his career. Um, that's something I don't know. Legally, teachers are ignoring attendance reporting requirements. Like, you have to report you have to report attendance. That's not optional. You can't just ignore excessive absences. You've got to report them. Um, and if this has gone through the proper channels with the principal, when you report the excessive absence, the principal will look at it and say, "Oh yeah, there is a reason why that is going on." Like, can't just ignore that. You can't just pretend that's not happening. John's absences are the result of an effort to get him back on the football field following an injury. It's pretty straightforward, and a lot more nuanced than my knee-jerk reaction was when I first read the case. Football is likely a big motivator for John. If seriously injured, he will need a backup career option. So, we can't ignore the academic side of things. Now, one thing I didn't put on the slide but, that I want to mention is that there's no indication of how this is necessarily affecting his grades. I think it's reasonable to expect that his afternoon classes are suffering as a result of this. If that's putting his graduation in jeopardy, then we need to seriously look at that too. It is a motivator for him, but you can't put all the eggs in that basket. At some point, you've got to say, look, we need to make this up. I don't know. Maybe he is making up his work at other times. I don't know. All right. Next section, we'll start looking at general trends and get to my decisions and my options and all of that stuff. So, see you in part 4.